Okay, I think we are live. I believe we are. Yep, we are live.
Yep.
So, as I was saying, Wayne, to everyone who's actually watching it at the moment, we're just going to let it roll for a couple of minutes, just till everyone gets on. We've got a few people on, then we can get started on the actual chat.
Yeah, no worries. Can you find my blue constitution, just the one with the Australia Act and that in it?
Yeah, that'd be great, actually.
It's just a little book, blue one. The blue version that should be in there.
All right, we've got a few people. So, people who've just jumped on, Louis here from admin. I've got Wayne here. We're just going to wait a couple of minutes for a few people to jump on, so then they're viewing, and then we'll start on the actual chat. All right, once again, for everyone who's just joined, it's Louis here from the admin team. Look, we're just waiting for everyone to jump on, and then we're going to start the chat.
Nothing.
All right, once again, for everyone who's on, it's Louis here from the admin team. We're just going to give it probably another 60 seconds for more people to jump on, and then we're going to start. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, everyone, it's Louis here from the admin team. Big thanks to Wayne from all of us at admin and moderator for being on here tonight. We're here to discuss the local government. So yeah, once again, thanks for coming in, Wayne. Can you hear me?
I'm here. Yep, clear as a bell.
All right. So first off, I just want to, for everyone who's new to the group or is unsure, when we make a reference to the Constitution, and Wayne will confirm this, we are referring to the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act. Looks like this.
Yep.
Okay, and you can also find it in Chapter 12 of the Ennoted Constitution, which Wayne will also refer to. Now, Wayne, our Constitution allows for a two-tier government between federal and state. Are you able to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, it's two tiers, being federal and state, but those two tiers have three individual sections. One is the executive, two is the legislature, and three is the judicature, which is your systems of courts. At a federal level, it's exactly the same. That doesn't change. The highest authority in the country is the Governor General. The highest authority in the country in relation to constitutions is the Commonwealth one, because that is the will of the people. And it isn't a control on the people, it's a control on the government itself. Now, what becomes confusing to most people is the dribble and lies that come out of the parliaments of the states and the Commonwealth while they go for a centralised government and total control of us and our land. The fact is, the only time any government can go have anything to do with your land is if they want it for roads, bridges, and such like, and that's the federal government only. The states don't have control over your land, never have had control over your land, and can't unless we give them permission, and we haven't. The fact is, in Western Australia, for instance, we had Commissioner Cunningham prior to Federation, appointed by the Governor, who has total control over the land through the Transfer of Land Act, which is imperial acts, not state acts. The states did not exist prior to Federation. They were colonies. McGuinty, the Attorney General for Western Australia a few years back, James Andrew McGuinty, joined with the government of the state, or the parliament of the state, and decided he would take the state to court, which is the people, and take it to the High Court and show that the states existed prior to Federation, and the Commonwealth Constitution just came and sat over the top of the state one and enhanced it and took a few of its powers, and that's how the system worked. But that was absolute nonsense and lies. The case is HCA 48 of 1996, and at paragraph 17, the High Court ruled the states did not exist prior to Federation. They were colonies. And under the provisions of Clause 7 to the Constitution, on the proclamation of the Constitution, which took place on the 9th of July 1900, the old entities known as the Australasian Council, which was the governing body across all the colonies, and the colonies themselves ceased to exist. Now, we then had 4 months and 25 days running on imperial law. The Police Act, Transfer of Land Act, Justice of the Peace, Magistrates Court, Court of Petty Sessions Act, which elected stipendiary magistrates, which were basically glorified Justice of the Peace. But they had completed 5 years of service in the legal system, but they were not lawyers. They're not allowed to be lawyers because of the common law bar on lawyers having anything to do with the parliament or anything else. Now, if you want confirmation on that, you go into Hansard, 1897, I think it was. Isaacs and Griffiths, two of the people who wrote the Constitution, were very, very clear that if lawyers got control of the parliaments and courts, all hell would break loose because they are unreliable. The common law condemns them as deceivers of the people, liars, thieves, and cheats, the common law being the King James Bible, which is the only instrument that constitutes a lawful court. Of course, now we have them in there and we can see the result. Liars, deceivers, thieves, cheats, everything they can be. along with their creations. Now, there never was a local government system. There was a type of a council, not like we've got now, and roads boards. I know very much how they work because my father contracted to them all through my younger life, and we travelled quite a bit around the state to different places while he graded roads and put in road bases, bridges, and stuff like that, along with a team of other people. That was a government department, a public utility. Then some bright spark got the idea they'll create them as a lawful public utility, and they could start bleeding the public with a tax called rates. Rates are a tax, whether they like it or not. Section 51, subsection 2 of the Constitution says any exaction of money, for example, rates, levies, tolls, licenses, etc., is a tax, and it is a tax. And I got that ruled in the Supreme Court in 2006. The problem is that the Parliament decided that somehow it would become supreme. And that happened after 1973 when Gough Whitlam signed the Uni Joint Treaty and created 300 acts and removed the Church of England and created the Australian Styles and Titles Act, which it had no right to do whatsoever. And they said the Statute of Westminster Adoption Act gave them that authority. Well, that's nonsense. You can't adopt an act which is law in this country automatically, being British law, subject to our Constitution. And they're saying, oh no, we adopted it, so then it becomes law. No, it doesn't. It doesn't, and it can't. All British laws are law in this country after Federation, subject to our Constitution. Where do we find that? Go back to paragraph 17 of HCA 48 of 1996. What the High Court ruled, the states did not exist before Federation. They are a creation of 107, 108 and 109 of the Constitution. They draw their authority referentially from that Constitution, being the Commonwealth one. In other words, if there was no local government, there was no tax over your land, there was no control over your land before Federation or in the Commonwealth Constitution, they can't have it. Doesn't matter what they say, doesn't matter what the trolls, we get plenty of trolls come on here, Tim, whatever his name from Queensland, and even Shane Van Stein, our so-called mayor. He is an absolute fraud, dishonest liar, traitor, and everything you could add to him, he practically fills the bill. But instead of talking about him and his ignorance to the law, the fact of the matter is we've got a court system which has gone out of its way to uphold unlawful laws. Does that make it lawful? No, it does not. Any decision of a court that doesn't comply with the Constitution is automatically invalid. Now, people have to realise that if you go to chapter 1, page 346 of the Constitution, it says, if an authority is, that's the annotated one, quick and Garen, it says, if an authority is not granted to the Parliament, it's denied and remains with the people. Why does it remain with the people? Because the people are sovereign and the people are supreme. How are they supreme? Go to page 676, the last two lines on that page, the first three on the next page. It says, the Parliament is not supreme, and the very essence of federation is that must be so. The Parliament, like everyone else, is subject to the law and bound by it. No exceptions. Now, when you have a look at 107, 108 and 109, that statement binds the states to it. So if there is no local government in the federal constitution, then it can't exist in the states. The states don't have all these magnificent powers, residual powers or anything else. Their powers after federation are listed on page 936 of the annotated constitution. They're powers that the state can exercise, not powers that they have. They can exercise them. Local government in there is the state parliament. So we can exercise that according to the provisions of 107, 108 and 109 of our constitution. Now, what they're trying to say is, oh no, we can go ahead and we can exercise a lot. No, you can't, because you're subject to the will of the people and to the constitution. What that means, if you pass a law and it's not in the Commonwealth Constitution, like local government is not, It isn't a direct authority. It's ability to have legislation in relation to councils, not a group of people who are unrestrained to make laws, tax you out of your land, which is what they're doing, control your land. Because land under the Transfer of Land Act is clearly an imperial law, and once you buy it, it's held in fee simple. Fee simple is Chalice Real Property 3rd edition, and it states quite clearly, it gives you every aspect of ownership and the fact that it's totally alienated from the Crown. The only thing you can't do with land, you just can't pick it up physically and move it. That's the only difference between that and a normal chattel that you buy. Car, fridge, whatever. Everything else is the same. What they've decided they can do is they've decided they've given councils authority over your property. And they said they provide services. They provide nothing. Absolutely zero. They want you to pay for the collection of rubbish. We pay tax to the federal government to pick up rubbish. They give the states grants to deal with rubbish, to deal with the disposal of rubbish. Why then do we have to pay councils to pick up the rubbish? They pay 33 cents per bin per week, or around that figure, for each of your bins by these big companies. That doesn't equate to what the federal government gives them. Why do we have to give them more? Your roads. You're moving to a big housing estate. Who paid for all that? The developer. Who paid for all the infrastructure? The developer. Who paid for it in? You did. Why do we then have to pay the council for the right to have it? Because they provide it. No, they didn't. They actually charged those big companies between about $12,000 to $17,000 a block for future work. Well, where'd that money go? Did it go into investment? Half of it did in flighty old investments overseas. In the condition, or in the case of Geraldton City Council or City of Greater Geraldton, they lost $64 million. How's that for good governance? They're good, aren't they? But then they want us to pay rates to build that back up again. Now, can they exist? 1974, we said no. Go back to, if an authority isn't granted, it's denied and remains with the people. We were asked, we said no. If they had the right to create it, they wouldn't have had to ask. Then they come along in 1979, each state created a system of local government against the will of the people. Hang on, aren't you serving the people? Or is that just a myth in the minds of some way out spacecraft in the distance somewhere? Now, you go back 1988, they had another stab at it. Do you approve the continuance of local government? Wouldn't matter if it was in the past or not, or it came through federation and all. The people said no. That's the will of the people. They said no, you can't continue it. Do you approve the establishment? We said no. So if it's not there, you can't establishment. Then they wanted to empower it with the next two questions. We said no. Now they said, oh, because it didn't pass meant nothing, they could go ahead and do it. What a lot of hogwash. They are there to serve.
Yep. Just in relation to that, so it's very much established that local governments are unconstitutional.
Absolutely.
Now, in relation to the Constitution, the parliaments have under section, I just will bring that up, sorry. So under section of our Constitution, they have the power to enact any law for the people and good government of the Commonwealth, with respect to a number of things, subject to our Constitution. Yep. Now, all law outside of that Constitution that they seek to impose that is going to alter our Constitution, correct me if I'm wrong, is has to be done pursuant to section 128 of the Constitution.
That's correct. Now, that's the only way you can argue.
Yeah, which is a referendum for the people, essentially. Everyone has to vote as to whether or not they will allow the government to do that. Yep. Now, the government, the parliament can get that law through the parliament, and then they have to hold a referendum, no less than 2 months after that law, no less than 6 months. If that referendum by majority does not pass, that law is invalid.
That's correct.
Okay, so I've published local government acts around Australia. So the people of Australia have voted 2 times for local governments not to be constitutionally recognised.
Actually, a third time.
Sorry, 3 times?
Yeah, in 1999, yes.
Yep. Now, some states have passed local government acts up to 10 to 30 years before a referendum has been. What do you say should happen to those particular ministers at the time? Should they be charged with treason?
Well, in the words of Sir Samuel Griffiths, they're pro tanto invalid. And that's in HCA 39 in 1915. You start at paragraph 148. He said that here you find section 106 binds the state constitution, which, by the way, is this one in Western Australia, the proper one with a royal identifier and everything on it.
Sorry,
and there's no local government in that one. Can you see that?
I can, yeah. Sorry, Wayne, I've just got to cut you off. I've just been told that my question to you wasn't heard by our viewers. So I've just lowered the tone of my voice and slowed it down a little bit. In the hope that everyone can actually hear what I'm saying a little bit better.
Yep.
So I'm just going to repeat my question again. So it's that local governments are constitutional.
Absolutely. That's correct.
Now, in relation to that, let me just bring back up that particular section. Section 51 of our Constitution allows the Parliament to make a law subject to the Constitution for the peace or government of the Commonwealth.
Yep.
Now, any law that has been imposed essentially requires a referendum. That's under Section 128 of the Commonwealth Constitution, correct?
Yeah, that's only to alter. That's not to change.
Yeah, so to any law that will change our Constitution or goes against our Constitution, pursuant to Section 128 requires a referendum with the majority of people.
Yep. A majority of voters in a majority of states.
Yeah. So all of these referendums that they've held have failed.
Yep.
The states have brought in local government act numerous times, sometimes
well, they first introduced it into the state constitution in 1979. Every state did at the same time. But it was too late for Victoria because 1975 they removed their constitution altogether. So it's still invalid now. You can't touch the state constitutions. They're all letters patent. They were all put in on the 29th of October 1900 with a letters patent by Queen Victoria, and that stands. You can't change them because of section 6.1.9 the Statute of Monopolies. It's a letters patent. You can't touch it. Only the monarch can change it. She hasn't. None of them have. So then it stands. So if there's no local government in your state constitutions just before federation, it can't be in there now. It can't. Not lawfully. It's treason to put it in. Now, what they're trying to say is because they can pass laws for the good governance and well-being of the states, they have the power to pass laws for good government or local government. No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't have that authority. And every time they pass a law that's in excess of the authority granted, the law's a nullity. We can ignore it. That's on page 791 of the Constitution. The last paragraph, it says, neither the federal nor the state parliament are sovereign bodies. They're simply legislatures with limited authority. What is a legislature? Well, the governing council puts legislation together. The legislature debates it and passes it, puts it to the upper house. When that's passed, it goes to the governor to sign off as complying with the Constitution in accordance with 107, 108 and 109. And if it doesn't match then the state constitution, it's invalid. Now, what they're trying to say in the courts is because it's in the state constitution now, even though it was done illegally, all the governments of the states are bound to have a system of local government. What a lot of hogwash. How can you pass a law that forces you to do something? Are you insane? You can't just, it's like me looking in the mirror and say, listen here, Wayne, I want you to do this because I'm ordering it. So from now on, you do this. What a pack of lunatics. How do you sit there and say our creation forces us to do something, even though it's against the Constitution, the laws of the people? You know, when does it stop? When do the lies stop? If it isn't in the Commonwealth Constitution, under 106, it cannot be in the state one. You can't have it without the permission of the people. There is no extraordinary powers. There is no powers that saved over from the colonies that gave them the authority to override the Constitution, either state or Commonwealth. There is nothing. The state constitution after federation complies with the Commonwealth, or it's done, finished.
Sorry to interrupt, Wayne.
Oh, yep, no worries.
Okay, is my audio now fixed? Because I've just fiddled with the settings and changed to headphones. Has this appeared to have fixed the issue? Somebody can just comment and let me know if it's fixed.
Yeah, well, it seems all right. No?
Yeah, bloody technology, you can't trust it.
Yeah, well, you got to punch things in the computers. They work a bit better.
I've hit it twice already. Right, that appears to have been fixed. No?
Yeah, that's good.
Wonderful.
The big problem we got is the governments want to become supreme and sovereign, and that is the result of having lawyers running the country. The problem is they think we know everything and the people know nothing. It's the other way around. They wouldn't have a clue. They know legalese, they know their acts and statutes, but they're not law. It doesn't comply with the Constitution. It's not law. They reckon they got residual powers. Yeah, if they do have residual powers and they pass a law under those residual powers, that new law still must comply with the Constitution. Doesn't matter what these trolls think. We have these trolls come on all the time. Oh, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You are sovereign citizens and all this pseudo-legal crackpots and all that. The only pseudo-legal crackpots are the politicians and these clowns that are trolls that come on our post and say, oh, no, the government's got all these powers. They're not a government. They're a parliament. They're a three-tier system of governance. The executive, which is the governor, selects 10 from the lower house and 8 from the upper. Now, in the state constitution of Western Australia, it says 7 from the upper. It automatically goes to 8 to comply with the Commonwealth one. That doesn't need a referendum. It's automatic. It complies subject to the Constitution. So 10 from the lower, 8 from the upper. Now, that is the executive parliament. That puts laws together. The governor selects an attorney general. He has to be a legal practitioner like the magistrates, more than 5 years, but he's not allowed to be a lawyer. Again, the statute of monopolies prohibits it. They try to tell you, oh, no, you can use a lawyer because they're more qualified. No, the only thing they're qualified in is taking something, bending it, twisting it, and lying to get their clients off. And they take the same ability to courts and lie. They take the same abilities to Parliament and lie and bend and twist things for their own benefit. Now, the next enemy of the people we have is political parties. Not the politicians in them, the political parties. The politicians are front men for the people who are the advisors of these political parties. They have their own system that they want to put in place to control the people. Liberal, Labor, Nationals, Green, doesn't matter who they are, they all have their system. Now, I've spoken to a lot of politicians in relation to this. Most of them, they are kept in the dark and fed nothing but bull dust. Their advisors tell them how they should vote on a particular issue because they know all about it. Well, the majority of these advisors are nothing but filthy traitors. Nothing but filthy traitors. They feed a politician a load of garbage and they keep them flat out busy signing this and signing off that and going holding someone's baby and kissing it. All the nonsense they go through. They're front people for paid liars, which are the advisors. Now, these same advisors are the ones that are flat out trolling all Facebook and condemning everybody because they've got a different view to them. Well, sorry, we got a constitution. And if our constitution differs from your view, boo-hoo, go sock in the corner somewhere. We are the authority. The House of Representatives.
And that constitution, once again, just for everybody, is the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act that looks like this. Whoops, wrong way.
Yep. That's her. And that's a rule.
Yep. So the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act that was implemented, well, of 1900 UK, correct?
Yep, 1900 UK, and it had 9 clauses attached to it.
Yep.
And in section 74 was cemented in there the right to go to the Privy Council. Now, with their nice little new constitution, they decided they could take out our right to go to the Privy Council, but that's nonsense. That is a granted right. Now, if that's in the Commonwealth Constitution, apply 128. If you have a referendum and you want to remove it, you can't, because it changes the Constitution. The Parliament only ever has the power to alter. And by adding local government, they've changed. They've changed the state one, and it's not in the Commonwealth one. So now you've got a problem under 106 of the state constitution not complying with the Commonwealth. Where's the problem? Local government. Good. Kick it out. Because until you do, your state constitutions has no value. Now, you can have all the magistrates, all the judges, all the lawyers, all the experts, and Exeter has been the spurts that drip under pressure. These people stand up and say, we know what we're talking about. The law is the law. That's not law. It's treasonous garbage. A law is made pursuant to the Constitution. If it isn't made according to the authority we granted through our Constitution, then we deny it. If that wasn't the case, how come we've had these 3 referendums? How come we had one on a republic? Now, they say, oh, yeah, but the Australia Act. All right. The Australia Act's a fraud. Everybody knows that. But let's get into it. Section 5 of that Act says, this Act continues subject to the Commonwealth Constitution and the Commonwealth Constitution Act. It's gone. Where did we give the Parliament the authority to rise up above the source of its authority, which is our Constitution, and then rule over it? Where in the Constitution is that? Absolutely nowhere. Can they get that authority? Never. Can they propose a republic? No. Why? Because there's no authority for them to propose a system that removes the Constitution. Go back to your preamble. Humbly relying on the blessing of Almighty God, we the people of New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia and Western Australia join together in one indissoluble federation, the Commonwealth of Australia. Join together and it's indissoluble. How do you dissolve it? We petition the Queen, not the government. They're there to represent us. Until we ask them, go away. Can they ask us? No, they can't. The Governor-General and our representatives, we approach them, the whole or right across Australia, and when we get enough, and we ask them to propose it, that they can. This is not to do with political parties. They have no right to even suggest a republic. Besides, the republic is the Chinese version. Shut up or you get a bullet in your head and do what you're told. Now, you don't think that's the case? Look at local government. That's run that way. They turn up on your door. You say, I'm not doing this. They turn up with the police and a whole bunch of them, and they beat the living daylights over anybody who gets in their way, drag them off and lock them up on their own property. No warrants, no court orders, no nothing. And that's a fact. Not one part of it is lawful. Now, I keep going and attacking local government because Bob Hawke and the whole Labor Party system want to create 83 super councils and do away with the state parliament. They say it'll save money. Lies. Absolute nonsense and lies. It'll take away any say we have in anything. Any say, we'll have none. And it'll put all the say in Canberra. Is that a good thing? Yeah, well, come in Western Australia. They changed all our territories and moved the whole lot of the voting areas into the city, put the majority of voters there. What did we the country now? Nothing. They're cutting our services. They closed the Mullawa Hospital. They pulled out this. They removed Social Security from Meekatharra. Meekatharra is 500 k's away. To talk to Social Security, they've got to come 500 k's. How's that providing a service? They're not. All because the Parliament wants to rise up above the people, control them, and tell them what to do. Now,
and just on that note, Wayne,
yeah,
in relation to local governments and everything, just so then everyone can see, you get this constitution that you can find everywhere. If you go to aph.gov.au, that's the Parliament of Australia's website, and you click on a few things that gets you to your constitution, it actually clearly states, section 128 of the constitution, down the bottom, that no alteration diminishing the proportionate representation of any state in other house of the Parliament, or the minimum number of representatives of a state in the House of Representatives, or increasing, diminishing, or otherwise altering the limits of the state, or in any manner affecting the provisions of the Constitution in relation to thereof shall become law, unless the majority of the electors voting in that state approve the proposed law. They've been altering laws left, right and centre without referendums and without following section 128. Now, that section, they cannot deny is our constitution. They have it on their own website.
Yeah, that's right. They do. When you look at section 62 to 68 of the Commonwealth Constitution, that says the Governor-General shall select 10 from the lower house, 8 from the upper. That's the executive government. With their nice new green constitution, this lovely little piece of garbage here that I've got so I can cross-reference it all, in that they say, well, we've decided that the cabinet of the Parliament is supreme. Well, hang on. So you've got a Governor-General with a cabinet, with a council, Supreme Council, which is the executive, and now you've got a cabinet. Who told them they could take that the Governor-General's place and put it into the Parliament? Who told them that? Who told them they could give the Prime Minister the authority that the Governor-General has? Who told them they could take ownership of this country? No one. In 1999, we said no. Now, there is a secret section of the Constitution they use. Section 51, subsection 38. I've got it here in their nice little book they've got. This is one of their government books. These are interesting, especially when you look at the Australia Act. And this is one that really impresses you, because this was made subject to the Constitution. This is their little blue book I got off them a while back, and this actually destroys all of their nonsense. You can get this off the government website. I think I paid about $29 for it. It's just a piece of junk. But in there it says they reveal how they've been getting around our laws. They use section 51, subsection 38 of the Constitution. That states, with the conferral of the parliaments of the state, the Commonwealth can exercise authority it had at Federation. Now, when you look at that, they say, oh, well, the Parliament had all the authority in the world at Federation. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Because when you look at Clause 7, it wiped out the Australasian Council and the colonies. So there was no authority there except Imperial Acts for 4 months and 25 days. Now, if you look at Quick and Gurren, it says that. And it says because of Clause 7, and that started on 9th of July, 1900. Now, at 1901, at Federation, we had to establish a new parliament. So it took about 5, 6, maybe 8 weeks before it was established. There was no authority whatsoever they could exercise. None, except imperial law. So what they used is a fraudulent act. Now, they used that in 1919 for Treaty of Versailles. They used it in 1907 to introduce preferential voting. They used it in 1999 because when we said no to a republic, they gave us a new constitution and a republic. Now they reverse the rule of law. So when you go into court, instead of going in there and they say, how do you plead to this? And they read out all the evidence. They say, you've been charged with so-and-so. How do you plead? You haven't been charged with anything. You can go in there and they say, so for instance, you went in the shop one day and you stole a lolly, so you're charged with stealing. That's not a charge. That's an allegation. You committed an offence. How can you plead to that? You don't know what they're going to put. It mightn't even have been you. It might have been someone using your name, or someone driving a car, for instance, and they say, you're charged with speeding. How do you plead? What do you mean I'm charged with speeding? What? Where? How? Until they put the whole case to the court, you can't enter a plea. That's how it used to be when I joined the police force. They decided to change it. When they walked in, they said, you've been charged with so-and-so, how do you plead? The reason they did that, because every charge has to be brought on indictment if you plead not guilty. So they hammered you into pleading guilty or not guilty. We'll have a trial. You can't even have a trial in the magistrate's court. Go read the Local Court Act. I got it. Dates back to 1907, the first time they did it, but they introduced the Imperial Act as an act of the Parliament of Australia, which is nonsense. It's an imperial law, remains that way. The court remains that way. So all your magistrates' courts are invalid under that Imperial Act. They can't change it. They have no power. It's an English act. Now, when you look at Cable versus the Director of Public Prosecution, CLR 189 of 1996, if you read and understand that, the High Court ruled every single charge, civil or criminal, must be brought the same way. And after a plea of not guilty, must be brought on indictment. Why don't they do it? Because then you have to have, if you want it, a trial by jury under Section 80 of the Constitution. It's an indictable offence. They're saying, oh, no, we decide what the indictable offences are. No, you don't. An indictable offence is any offence where someone pleads not guilty has to go to a trial because of Magna Carta. Because of Magna Carta. It says trial by jury. And that is Section 39. Can't be deceased of your property, can't be deceased of yourself. You go to a magistrate's court, they sentence them to 3 months jail after a trial. A trial of what? You have no right. When you go to 1640 Acta Habeas Corpus, that is a Star Chamber hearing. You can't have a single judge sit in judgment of anybody. And they say, oh, that's gone by the wayside. No, it hasn't. HCA 29 of 2009, Chief Justice French said he kicked out 6 years of military courts because Morrison, who was the judge in the military, couldn't sit under Chapter 3. He couldn't comply with habeas corpus. He sat as a single judge. He threw out 6 years of cases. Now, was he wrong? No, he was 100% correct. How do the Imperial Acts apply in this country? Simply by the lawful oath you are required to take under the schedule to the Constitution. I, A.B., do solemnly swear I will well and truly serve Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, so help me God. Or I, A.B., do solemnly swear I will well and truly serve Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors. That is the oath. That's in our Constitution. As soon as you do that, you, through the British Accreditation Registry, who the Queen or the monarch is the head of, you embrace the coronation oath, uphold the Protestant faith and the Church of England. Now, and then you are bound to habeas corpus, 1688 Bill of Rights, Act of Settlement, Magna Carta 1297, Chalice Rule Property, all those acts come in under there. It isn't in the power of a parliament to change those acts. They don't have them because they're locked in by the Oath of Allegiance. So what they do in Western Australia, they produced the Oath Affidavit and Statutory Declarations Act in 2005 and removed Schedule E to the state constitution, the Oath of Allegiance. So when I went to court on 7th August last year, I said to the magistrate, you can't sit because you haven't sworn an lawful oath. He put it off to a hearing. He didn't want to deal with it. When I went in front of the lovely little piece of Milosevic, he admitted he hadn't sworn the oath when I read the oath to him. So I said, then you're sitting in treason. Right from now, you are a traitor under Section 44 of the Constitution. You're now attained to treason. You're incapable of sitting. And then I put some other stuff to him. He went out and he came back in. He started reading all these previous cases I've had. So I said, well, what's that got to do with anything? And he said, oh, well, here the High Court ruled. I said, no, the High Court did not rule. Don't lie to our court, sir. You are lying, because that decision states quite clearly, and you can read it on the internet, they dismissed my application for special leave to appeal. There's no such thing in the Constitution. Leave to appeal? Yes. Special leave? No. This is rules. Now, this is why they hate Cullerton, because Cullerton went into Parliament, and when he got stuck into Brandis, good old Brandis come back and said, we've got a committee that makes the rules for the High Court. Hang on. What happened to separation of powers under Section 70 of the Constitution? There's no distinct or real distinct separation between the executive and the legislature at any level, because they interact between the executive office being selected and not being able to vote in Parliament and holding all portfolios. Yeah, I get that. But when it comes to judicature, the Parliament cannot interfere. It must be independent. It must be seen to be independent, because they're courts of record. They're not legislative courts. You can't use them to pronounce law. Wayne Martin here says you can, but he's just an idiot. He can't help himself. He's never sworn the oath of allegiance, so he's never been a lawful judge. He's just a liar and a fraud, and I told him that. He didn't like it. Boo-hoo, tough. At the end of the day, we sit in a system where the judicature is separate from the rest of government. And in fact, if you go into the Cable decision, paragraph 52, it says, all courts are part of a federal judicial system with a High Court at its summit. So it literally operates as one system right through, and your right of appeal goes to the High Court. Now, they tried to knock out our appeal to the Privy Council under Section 74. Can't do it. The only way you can do it is to change the Constitution. They said, oh, yeah, well, the Parliament can legislate on what areas you can go to the Privy Council on. He said, yes, you can, but you can't take the right to go there. Now, they try to argue you can. No, you can't. Go to Section 73, subsection 5. You can go from any court of a state or the federal court, except the Supreme Court of a state, direct to the High Court on any issue that could go to the Queen and Council, Privy Council. Now, they're trying to say, oh, well, we can legislate. You can't. You can't. We have the right to go to the Privy Council. When Rod Cullerton went, or his people went to England, they went to the Privy Council. They argued the fact, they were granted it, it went. They told the Australian Parliament, reinstate them, because it all got case law. They already had case law that says only the Parliament can deal with officers of the Parliament. It is basically the High Court of the Parliament, which is the Senate. A motion 163 was filed, had to be heard. No, they took it out of there, Brandis and Pauline Hanson, because she didn't like the fact that Cullerton resigned from his political party when he realised she was wrong to have a political party. She didn't like that, so she went against him, and they put him before Kiefel in the High Court. And she kicked him out. She had no authority, and still has no authority to do it. In fact, I don't know what she was up to or what she was thinking, except the fact that she just caved into what Brandis wanted. It was unlawful. We have a constitution for a reason. So what the whole issue of what I brought to you today is 106 binds the state constitution to the overriding authority of the Commonwealth one. That can't be changed. What it means, you can't have anything in the state constitution that isn't in the Commonwealth one. End of the story. Every single law must be made pursuant to the Commonwealth Constitution. If it doesn't comply, it doesn't exist. Your local government's finished. Now all we got to convince is those peanuts sitting on the benches in the court. Now, I don't usually attach names to them. I try not to. But when they sit there and blatantly lie, like Milosevic did for the 4 days that I was in front of him, and then got up and walked out of the court, now he's miraculously handed down the decision I've got to pay the $1,800 cost, which he's not getting. Filed a document against that saying he had no jurisdiction. Let's see where he goes with that, because the second he does that, he's going to Privy Council, whether he likes it or not. I'm going to fix him for once and for all. And this is not vengeance. This is to make sure that magistrates understand they are there to provide the service. They are not there to stand over and order us to comply with unlawful laws. That service is to serve the people. That service is to make sure that everybody can live a normal, healthy life without interference from somebody else. They're not doing it. They're trying to say, we can do this, we can do that, the government's supreme, the government's sovereign. I mean, that's absolute dribble. How long are the Australian people going to stand up and take this dribble? We now hear that they're going to have an interim government from some kind of an election in May. How can you have an interim government? You either vote for the politicians or you don't. And it's, by the way, all your voting is for at state level by the governors for your House of Representatives. It's on the back of our state constitution, the method of voting. And it's not for voting multiple people. It's just selecting a candidate in each area. We select the candidates for our Senate. We select the candidates for the House of Representatives. Why? Because they're representing our state. What has it got to do with the federal government, the election? Nothing. Absolutely zero. Now, they're trying to say, oh, we've got an electoral act, but the Australian Electoral Commission is in a vacant paddock somewhere in the middle of Victoria, southeast of Victoria. It doesn't exist. It's a registered company. Why, if it's a government department, is a registered company? What are they doing? What are they trying to hide? Treason? Fraud? That's exactly what it is, the whole lot. So, there's no other way to sum it up. If it's not in the state constitution, can't be in the Commonwealth, there's the end of local government. That's it.
Wayne, what I'm wanting to do, thank you for explaining all of that, is before we go into a bit of a Q&A, because we've got a very long list of questions from people that we can try and get through, I just want to let everyone know the seminars which people have been commenting about that Wayne's delivered through this Facebook page in person. We've got one on the 4th of May here in Perth. There's a link both on our website and on this Facebook page to Eventbrite, which is who's selling these tickets. So everyone in WA, jump on, buy your tickets there, because Wayne's going to be there talking. As soon as people on the Facebook page, we see that we've got enough in each state, we will be travelling, and Wayne will be travelling to those states to deliver a seminar. And the admin team at the moment is fiddling around with a few dates. So it won't be long, guys, but first, Perth. But just to go into these questions, we've got a question here from James Lowe, and he wants to know, when did Australians start paying rates?
Well, my memory of paying rates was it was a voluntary contribution to your local council, which was a government body. It was volunteers did it, and that was around about 1955, 56.
Okay, good to know. Next question that we've got is from Dan Barwick. He's asking you, Wayne, that you reference to the Constitution of 1901. Is the government referencing a different constitution?
There's no difference between the Commonwealth Constitution Act 1900 and the 1901 Constitution. The only thing it dropped off was an act. It went from an act to a constitution as being the will of the people accepted by referendum.
Is the government referencing or using a different constitution?
Absolutely. They're using a green one. They started in using a version of this about 1998 from memory, and then in 2003 they came out with this one, and this is current to 2015. I haven't seen any alterations to this, but they've changed that much of our constitution with this piece of junk. They call it the authorised version, but sorry, the Dr. John Quick and Sir Robert Garran died in 1937 and 1957. 1935 and 1957. So they weren't around to authorise this, and we certainly did not. In fact, in 1999, we said, you can't have a republic. This literally gives it to them. It gives supremacy to the parliament, sovereignty to the parliament. Rubbish. We said no in 1999. That means no. No, you can't have it, and you're not going to. And it can end up with a big argument. Well, I hope it doesn't end up fighting. God forbid we had the nonsense that was on in New Zealand yesterday. That was tragic. We don't need that kind of garbage. We need the government to shut up, put up, and obey our law, our constitution.
All right, and just one more question, well, a few more questions actually. So obviously, in regards to election that's meant to be coming up, obviously, can you just, before I ask the actual question, just reiterate that a vote of no confidence is the biggest load of shit to hit the internet?
Absolutely, because there's no provision on the documents for it, and any vote outside the provisions of that document, it will become a no vote or a vote for the other party, which is what they usually do.
Yep.
I've looked at all aspects of it. It's simple.
Okay. Now, in regards to that election, what's happening with it, and with the Rod Cullerton serving papers with the Privy Council and everything, is our federal government what's to go with the election?
Well, quite frankly, while the case is in the Privy Council, it's to do with the authenticity of the Queen of Australia against the Queen, which is ours, Queen of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, our monarch.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Until that's sorted, they can't lawfully have a vote. They can't.
Okay.
If
Would
they
that
do,
be why we haven't heard a date yet?
no, we haven't. We're waiting for a date to go before the Privy Council. They've accepted the prosecution. It's just waiting for them to hear it. And quite obviously, they have to define in accordance with the 1900 Constitution UK. And we don't have a Queen of Australia. We have a monarch who is the Queen of us, her subjects. It's different to how they're trying to portray it. And they've removed the authority of the Queen of England and put in the Queen of Australia. Well, quite frankly, where is this Queen? Where is she? I want to see her. I mean, she's probably some ugly old bat they dragged out of the gutter somewhere with no brain. But given that, look at some of their laws. That's exactly where they got it. But where is she? She's a legal fiction created under the Corporations Act, and that's a fact.
Okay. Now, basically, on that. Okay, so do people actually go and vote? And if they do vote, how so? Because obviously, our fucked up federal government is hitting people with fines if they don't show up to vote if they're registered to. Now, what would you advise people to do?
Well, what I'm going to do so far, because I haven't looked at the ballot papers, I haven't looked at what type of an election they're going to have, but everything above the line that has registers companies, all the political parties, delete that whole section. You can't vote in that at all because you're voting for a human being to represent you. Now, I suggest you look at all the other sections and see if you can find an independent and vote for them. If you don't, put Liberal and Labor last, either one, Greens next, and Nationals next. Put them down the bottom. Any other minor parties, put them above them. We've got to get rid of the garbage, and they are the garbage. Regardless of what anyone says, they are there for their political parties, their political party ideals. They are not there to represent us. If you, I understand, I looked at just numbering them 1, 2, 10 or whatever it is in the side and then deleting each one and then writing no suitable candidates. I get that. I understand that will still be used a vote against you for the person who gets the most votes. They'll still do it. I've looked at every aspect of that act. That act is invalid. If we could get everyone in Australia to say, shove it, we're not going and voting, that would be fantastic. But you won't get it because there's always the people who daddy voted Liberal, daddy voted Labor, daddy voted Greens or whatever. So I'm going to. Regardless of the result, they don't care. They see a republic as a glorious new way where the Labor Party or whoever gets to be the president is going to do everything for us. No, stop the nonsense. Go and have a look at how China's run. Go and have a look how Russia's run. Go and have a look at Cuba, and then you get an idea exactly what's going to happen. You are going to go here. No, we're not. Bang. Yes, you are. You're going to go and do this. No, we're not. Bang. That's what you're going to get. You are going to get told, not asked. This will never go back to us telling the government what to do. It'll always be from that time on, the government will tell you what to do. Go look at your title deeds of your land. They've already stolen your land. I'm going to do a video, and in the conference, because it's a drawn out, long thing to explain, they took your land, and you don't understand how, but I can show you it was just a sleight of hand, and you ended up with nothing. You work all your life. Sometimes two people work, and some of them get sick and can't work anymore, and then they end up at the end of their life. You don't own your land. You don't. It's in fee simple, but fee simple to them is you got all areas of ownership, but the Crown still owns it. Which Crown? The Queen of Australia, the corporate Crown. And what they're not understanding, it's alienated from the Crown in fee simple under Chalice Real Property, our proper law, and it's put in there now under their Queen of Australia, their version, which I got a letter from Landgate saying it is, and they say, oh yeah, well the council just signed a bit of paper and they take your land. And that's what they're trying to put over now. They took the land. The one problem is I have the original certificate of title. And that certificate of title is issued from the representative of the Queen of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. I own that land. I got the section of law that says that stands until I give it over, and I'll never give it over. I'll never give it over. They can take it on my deathbed, go for it. But in the meantime, no matter who goes on that land, it belongs to me. And I will fight until I die for that land. They don't like that? Well, have fun. It's not going to worry me what they say. It's not going to worry me what they do. At the end of the day, they're just still my land. And if I choose to get a front end loader and clean off whatever they put on it, tough. They better not be inside. They're going to get hurt. Stay off the property. People have to get up, stand up.
What's your view? Last question before we wrap up. What is your quick view on the position of Prime Minister and our Prime Minister himself?
Prime Minister professes to be a Christian. He may well be, but he is still operating outside of the law. I witnessed him swear the oath of allegiance to the Queen of Australia. That means that's an act of treason, like it or lump it. He is not the Prime Minister. If he was, he would only then be what the Constitution grants him the right to be, the foreman of the legislature. There is a distinct gap between the executive, who makes the laws, and the legislature, who debates and passes them. They do not flip around the world like all the pollies do, looking after giving money to this one, mugging up to another. That is all lies, fraud, nonsense. Now, Scott Morrison, I don't know him. I look at him, he says he's a Christian, fine. Doesn't matter what religion he belongs to. That does not mean he's not a liar. That does not mean he's not a traitor. That does not mean he shouldn't be where he is. If he wants to follow his Christian beliefs, get his Bible out, the King James Bible, because all the laws are made pursuant to that under the authority of the Constitution. The Constitution is based on it. Now, this is not about religion. This is about Christianity running laws for good governance for us. There is no such thing as separation between church and state. That church is religion. That state is political parties. This is about our government, which governs for us under the provisions of the Crown, which is God, through the monarch and the common law. That common law serves believers and not believers. That is a right. That's how it has to be. When it's that way, it is so smooth because there is no separation. There is no separation. The 10 Commandments give us the basic ideals we need to run a society on. If you love your neighbour as yourself, you're going to go and beat the crap out of him, shoot his dog, or like that idiot yesterday, shoot other innocent people just because of their views aren't the same. You don't have that right. You don't have that right. You know, and that sickens me. It really sickens me. It
is certainly very shocking, recent turn of events
disgusting and shocking. Yes, totally.
Yeah. Now, everyone, be sure we will be coming to your states.
Yep.
Wayne will be coming around to every state as soon as we have the numbers in the state, and it is looking good. We're fiddling around with some dates at the moment. Perth, 4th of May, jump onto Eventbrite, get your tickets to see Wayne. Once again, thank you for doing a live interview, Wayne. And just
You're
so
welcome.
everyone is aware, I can't say when, but sometime next week, me and Wayne will be meeting live in person on the City of Perth doorsteps. And we'll be having a chat live onto Facebook. So we'll let you know when that's going to be happening. But thank you for watching, everyone. Now, Wayne, on our group, we've got a few admins and moderators that have obviously been working quite a lot and quite hard to
Yep.
get these seminars going, to get this first seminar up and running, these videos and everything. I just want to point out a couple. Obviously, we've got Paul and Jason and Jim. But our moderators, Jenny, Jody, Grim, Darren, and Jay, they've been doing an amazing job at trying to keep everything clean and moderated throughout the page and the group chat, and keep lots of information out there about what you're doing and what's happening. Do you have anything to say to them?
Yeah, I think they're doing an excellent job. Everybody's got their place in this. Obviously, I've got a good memory. Obviously, I can recall what I want when I want. But that's a God-given gift, and I use it to the best of everybody else. And I want to thank everybody, even just for listening, because the more that listen, the more that understand, the more chance we've got to get in this country back under our constitution, following our rules, not political parties, not people with hidden agendas to take everything. So on behalf of me and my wife and everybody involved with me, thanks to all the people in your admin section, and just keep it up. We'll keep up our side. Our side, as you know, is basically free to everybody. It costs us a heck of a lot of time, 25 years of my life, but I don't care. I have 8 kids, 4 boys, 4 girls, and 10 beautiful grandkids. I want to see them grow up free, not under some idiot says, oh, you go do what you like with that kid, or you go do this, you go and do that. No. My kids get to decide what they want. It doesn't care what they choose in their life. I'll stand by them for who they are, what they want, what they believe, what their orientations are. You still love your kids. As we've discussed, I don't care what they want, whether they love a boy or a girl. It's not what I want, but it's what they want. They'll know the consequences. I'll always give it to them and respect their ideals because it's theirs. And nobody has the right to change that. So that's how I look at it. Like your work, love it, keep going. Hope we can keep going the way we are. You're still there, or have you gone to sleep? Things happen, it's gone dead quiet. Are you there?
Oh, this fucking thing's useless. Have we lost Wayne, or is he still on there?
No, he wasn't on there, but he jumped off. He asked where you were a couple of times.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Paul's actually talking to them in Tariqa.
Yeah, fucking NBN, they're useless. I swear to God, a bunch of cunts. How do I get fucking back into it now?
You're back on. You're back on that, so you just need to get one. You need to get back on.
Alright guys, I've just realised that I'm back on live. We're just going to get Wayne back on. I apologise for anyone if they've heard something inappropriate come out of my mouth. Yeah, I apologise for that. We're just waiting for Wayne to come back on now. Yeah, NBN cut off and it just buggered up the entire thing. I've just sent Wayne the link. He's on now.
Hey, we're back.
Wayne, we've got you back.
Yeah, I think we must have touched a nerve somewhere down there.
Oh, my bloody NBN just completely died. And it just bunch of fucking idiots. I swear to God, that's where our taxes go, right up their fucking arms, I swear. Anyway, as we were saying before that
we were rudely interrupted.
Fuck around.
We were rudely interrupted. That sounds better.
Yeah.
Now, look, your admin's doing a really good job, and we enjoy working with them. And keep going. We'll keep working together. We're having a ball. We have a ball with everything we do. We don't let anything worry us. And I'm going to eat, because if you don't eat, you don't do other things, and then you die. You've got a problem.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to delivering the seminars, especially our first one in Perth on the 4th of May. So everyone, yeah, grab your tickets. And once again, we are extremely, extremely sorry about the technical difficulties that we faced tonight between my microphone in the first half just being God knows what, and then obviously NBN disconnecting us. I really am sorry. We are going to work as admin and moderators to try and fix this issue before the next live video, because it is unfair on everyone. But thank you for being patient and sticking with us. Thank you, Wayne, for being on this video, and thanks to all the admin and moderators.
We had to stick with you, you know, like glue.
That's gold.
That fixed you with your Coke. That stuff will kill you.
What is it? Everyone seems to be attacking me lately about my smoking, the fact that I drink Coke, V.
Well, has someone bored a hole in your head? No, we'll stop smoking. You don't have a chimney. It kills people, you know. I lost a father and a brother to smoking. Give it up.
I'm slowly giving up. One of our admin deals a lot with that vape stuff, so I'm going to be switching to that next week.
Sounds like a good move. Then give up that crap you're drinking to rot your socks. I haven't had sugar for a lot of years. I'm 71 years old. I went to the doctor, and the only advice he's got to me is stand still while he runs over me and steals my organs. So I must be doing something right. Yeah, he's not a very good doctor, is he? He wants to kill me. Yeah, no worries. All right.
All right, Wayne. Thank you very much. Thanks to everyone for staying online. And we should have another video soon that doesn't blow up like this one.
Yeah, have a look on Facebook. I'm going to post a heap of videos, because I'm going to open up a few cans of worms I don't like, but who cares anyway? It needs to be out there, and I'm getting in their face.
Yep. Well, that's what
These
we're
are-
running for, Wayne. You speak the truth and you speak how it is. And to be honest, you don't give a crap what the politicians and the fucktards in Canberra say. That's what makes you a patriot. You are a true Aussie patriot, and you should be Governor General.
No, well, that's someone's opinion. I look after me mate upstairs. He looks after me. You're right.
Seriously, you are a patriot. You are a true Aussie patriot, and you should be awarded many medals.
Yeah, well, I got some of those. I threw them under my bed. They're still there, I believe. You don't worry about them. I do what I do because I love doing it. Anyway, you have a good night. Catch you in Perth. See you soon, eh?
See you soon, Wayne. See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.